Well, I like cancer, so I only got over as much as I could to see him. For his actions.
I was able.
Yeah, I read that.
I got it. Just good.
My aunt's still there and telling me the house.
And they drove all the way to my husband drove all
My
the way.
dad passed earlier this year.
Well,
My mom bought a house next
they
door.
were stuck on the road.
It has been a year. It has been a year, that's for sure.
Okay, so, I want my Annie back, please. So should I?
That's a good question.
Are you Chris? I am.
I'm Sally, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
And I'm wondering if you're involved.
Oh, you have to walk, you know, from one
Yeah, I really wanted to play and then.
I'm sure there's plenty.
Okay, so we're gonna get ready to start. Thank you guys all for being here today. Just a couple of announcements. Our next month's book for the book group is On Mystic Lake by Kristen Hanna. Just to go over, we have my glasses on so I can see. We have a couple of some special evening lists left on Thursday evenings. This Thursday, it's me, you can come see me Thursday, to talk about artificial intelligence. Then on the 30th, it's Catherine Long and myself to talk about computer coding. And then on August the 6th is Dr. Dawn Curry. She's gonna be doing her program called When the People Sing, Protest Music and Freedom Struggles in South Africa. So, wanted to get that out of the way. And then today we are here because our July book was Paw and Order. And it's written by a local author. And this is our third year for summer reading for having a local author come in for the summer to talk to us. And it's by Chris Abernathy. You guys probably know him also from the radio station in the mornings. So I'm gonna read a little introduction about him and then have him come on up, okay? So, Chris Abernathy writes fun and funny mysteries built around unique and lovable characters, some of which are human. Growing up in a home that resembled a library with overflowing bookshelves in every room, Chris has always been surrounded by books. He started writing his first at the age of 11 before becoming distracted by other forms of storytelling. Throughout a 35-year career as radio and television personality, which currently includes being the morning voice of Bay 1017 here locally, Chris was honored more than a dozen times by the Alabama Broadcasters Association with awards for Best Radio Personality, Morning Show, Radio Station, Public Service, and more. His entry to the world of professional publishing came as an audiobook narrator, and he's been recognized for this work by the Independent Audiobook Awards as a finalist for Best Male Narration in 2019 and Best Thriller Suspense in 2020, and also by the One Voice Awards as a finalist for the Best Nonfiction Performance in 2021. Working closely with authors and publishers as a narrator, revived the dream of writing his own books, and now Chris is making that dream a reality. His debut book was a short travel guide for St. George Island, a Florida Gulf Coast destination he loves to visit with his wife Alice and their 2 boys. Moving into fiction, his first release in the Detective Whiskers Cat Cozy Mystery Series was ranked as the #1 new release in Amazon's Amateur Sleuth category, and the series continues to be well received by readers everywhere. He is here today to discuss Paw and Order, the first book in the Detective Whiskers Cozy Mystery Series. And you can find Chris online at authorchrisabernathy.com. So, let's welcome Chris.
Thank you, Shelley. All right, just in case you don't know, or you probably don't, but I hate talking to groups this size.
Oh.
I talk to thousands. I've been on stage introducing in front of tens of thousands of people. Doesn't bother me a bit. I get in front of a dozen people, and it's okay. That's a completely different thing. So, you know, if I seem nervous, that's just the way it is. But thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. I appreciate how many of you have actually read Paw and Order? Is it about everybody? Excellent. Thank you very much for doing that. And I do have some books back here, but I'm going to let you in on a secret. Shelley said earlier they've ordered the rest of the books for the library, so you don't have to buy any of them. So you can read the whole series without buying a book. But thank you very much for being here. So who am I? Shelley just gave you a nice introduction. Most of this was in there, but I am the program director and morning show host at 1017 Bay FM. I use the name Chris Wright on the radio, and some people ask me, why do you have two names? Well, I started my radio career when I was in high school. I was working at a college radio station, and then one day the station manager called me at his office and said, Chris, the dean found out we have a high school kid here, and we can't do that. So he told me I have to fire you. So what's your new name? So I became Chris Wright. Never missed a show, and the dean either just needed plausible deniability or never figured it out one way or the other. But I was a student of his for several years, and he never said a word about it. So I don't know. Either way, that's how I became Chris Wright on the radio. But I went back to using my real name for writing books, largely because of my mother. She deserved to have that. She was a big book lover, and she was not able to see me publish a book, but maybe she knows. So my wife and I moved here from the Alabama Gulf Coast last summer. And as I say, my mom, I grew up in, basically it was a library at home. There were bookshelves in every room, just completely covered up. She started the library at our church and volunteered at the local public library. Her favorite day of the year was the preview day for the Friends of the Library book sale. With volunteering, she got to go in early and pick out more books that we didn't have room for. When we moved to Scotland, oh my goodness, it was, what do we do with all these books? Somehow she managed to fill up a house there as well, and then when we came back, we had two housefuls, and she didn't want to give any of them up, and I think most of you can probably relate to that a little bit. 50 years ago, I had a traumatic experience with reading. It was the summer before my second grade, and I went to get one of Mom's books to practice reading before going back to school. And next thing you know, I'm in my room crying. And my mom comes in, what's wrong? I forgot how to read.
Oh.
It was one of her French books. She was bilingual. She was a professional secretary for the European Space Agency in Paris, which is where she met my dad. He was a GI there in the 60s, and met her at a little cafe off the Champs-Élysées. She was born in London, working in Paris, and he gave her the grand life in East Aboga, Alabama. Lucky woman. So yeah, I am a dual national, US and UK. Our other home is in the Scottish Highlands, a little village called Fort Augustus beside Loch Ness, where my uncle had moved up to with his bride. And so we lived there with them for a couple of years, and Mom and Dad bought a house that they were going to retire to. That didn't happen, but we still got the house 40 years later. And so we treasure that house and the opportunity to go back and visit my aunt now, just her, and kind of be locals in the village. And that's one of my neighbors. As I was leaving Scotland a couple of years ago, I was leaving the village to go back to the airport in Inverness and fly back home. And that is not zoomed in. I took the long way behind the back way behind Loch Ness, and that is actually Loch Tarf, which until very recently was the water supply for the village. And that fellow was just there beside the road, didn't care that I pulled over and hung out with him for a couple of minutes, took his picture. So that's
the monster.
The monster's just over the other side of those hills. And Nessie does exist, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I have never seen Nessie. We haven't met, but I know that she exists. And the reason that I know it is because if she didn't, we would have never we get far fewer bookings on our house there. So she has to exist. And I am actually I don't think I've ever told anybody this publicly. I am working on a book that is set in the Scottish Highlands, cozy fantasy. Working title is How Not to Build a Princess. The daughter of a mega billionaire is engaged to marry a young man who is about to restore the Scottish monarchy and be the first true Scottish king in over 4 centuries. But the pressure gets heavy. She finds herself tumbling into a fantastical Scotland where magic is commonplace. The girl next door actually is a fairy tale princess, and a cup of tea might transport you to a warm beach or a snowy mountaintop or somewhere else. And so the answer to the question is, can she find her way home? And if so, will she choose to return or choose a new path? My first book, and I do have a couple of copies of that over there, but a little bit different, and we don't have any kids here, but the Detective Whiskers books are pretty much appropriate. They're written for adults, but they're appropriate for anybody to read. If you're able to read them, which is probably middle grade, then there's nothing that's going to be too bad in there. But this book was kind of therapy for me. And there's some of the things that I never could do on the radio, on my radio shows, everything is family friendly. So I kind of acted out a little bit and did some of the things that I couldn't do on the radio, and made characters out of some of the people that I've met along the way. And so I had some fun with that one. Got to know myself a little bit as a writer, and figured out what I wasn't good at, and sold maybe 3 copies. A little bit more than that, but not much more. And so that ought appropriate for all ages is actually not. My proofreader did not come with me on this. Let's give away some books. Quick quiz here. The first person to answer will win a free book. What does GCE stand for in Paradise Cove? You read it early in the summer. GCE. The Zappa introduced Whiskers to the GCE.
Okay, wait, now. Golf cart.
Hmm?
Something to do with golf cart, but I can't remember what the E stands for. Express.
Yes, the Golf Cart Express. Very good. See me for a free book after that.
You did know.
Question number 2 for another book. Besides being a really cool cat, what makes Zappa, Whiskers' new calico friend, very unusual? Not quite 1 in a million, but about 1 in 3,000. I didn't see we got a hand up.
He's a male, and calicos are usually female.
Exactly. So when y'all got to that point in the book, did you get that and think, oh, wait a minute, that can't be right. Calico's got to be a female.
I didn't notice it. Nope, I didn't notice.
Anybody did? Nobody?
Yeah, calicos are
Mm-hmm.
definitely not male, very seldom.
Very, very seldom. Well, if you read through the series, at some point that will be explained. I just kind of leave it for a while. And I've had some people email me or whatever saying, that's not right. It can't be calico. Just keep reading. Keep reading. And one more quiz here, one more free book. So you got them, okay? See me after? So 2 of the characters, this one might be tougher. I don't know if I'll have a winner on this or not. 2 of the characters in Paradise Cove, Todd and Margot, were inspired by a couple with the same names in what classic movie? Shelley knows. Did I tell you, Shelley?
No.
No? Okay. You know?
Yeah, but someone else needs a free book because I have
Well, there are other books.
one. Oh, okay. Christmas Vacation.
Exactly.
Oh, my God. What is this vacation?
Why is the carpet wet, Todd? Oh, Margot. So they're bickering in that movie, and so Officially, of course, I would not take actual characters from a copyrighted product and put them in my book. That wouldn't be right. So they're inspired by Todd and Margot. If you want to think that it's them retired to this village, that is up to you. But definitely that is not the case for legal reasons. All right, so the series, you got the cat detective works with his animal friends to solve mysteries and keep his human companions safe in that idyllic Florida beach village. 9 novels, the 1 prequel. Book 10 is coming this fall. I did a little bit of work on that during my vacation. So we will have that out in the fall with a Halloween theme. And you were mentioning audiobooks, you like audiobooks. So I do have audio. I did the audio myself for the prequel. And then books 1 and 2 are available in full cast audio, where I'm doing part of it, but I've got more than a dozen actors in there working with me on that. And I've got all the audio recorded for book 3, but I haven't had a chance to put it together yet. That's a lot of work, in case you don't know. Putting an audiobook together with all those different voices. If it's just one voice, it's so much easier than the full cast is. I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to do this, but I've got all these friends that I want to, and some of them, has anybody actually listened to the audio? What did you think, honestly?
Well, you're getting into the subject that I wanted to ask you about. I couldn't imagine that you had all of those people. And I thought, oh, it must be, a few that are voicing more than one character. And then at the end, when the credits came, I said, oh no, that must have been quite a recording studio with all of those people in it.
Some of the actors did do more than one voice,
Uh-huh.
Including myself,
Yeah.
but
Most were one.
most of them were just the one voice that they provided.
And who decided what kind of accent, so to speak, they would have, each one would have to make their character distinctive?
Well, I let them know, what the characters, who the characters were, and the basics of, how I had written them in the book, and what I had in mind for them, and then just kind of let them go.
Oh.
And I didn't pick people that weren't any good.
They were all good.
There's a couple that are in there, like, my goddaughter's in there. She's not a professional voice actor yet, but mostly these are not all highly accomplished, but people that I respect, certainly.
When you do the audio, do you all sit together, or do you just do it in chapters, or how do you, and who else, are you Zappa?
No, I'm not Zappa. No, my friend Phil Thron is Zappa.
Who else were you in the book?
I was Whiskers, and I was the Chief Anderson. You got a question as well?
No, that was.
No? Okay. But yeah, I was very lucky that they agreed to do the book for me, because if I'd had to pay the regular rates for some of these folks, some of them are more accomplished than others, but some of them, Phil has done well, but Phil has not gotten the work that he deserves. That is a narrator that's just absolutely amazing. There was a series that I wanted to narrate. I saw the series in print and said, I'm just going to reach out to the author, because I've never done that. I was like, this series, I want to narrate this series. And he already had somebody in line, and it was Phil. And then I heard it, and said, oh, yep, there you go. That's why. So I did not mind at all after that. So again, if you've got Kindle Unlimited, another reason you don't have to buy a book if you don't want one, you can read. All my books are in Kindle Unlimited on Amazon right now. I may be changing that, because it's not really, you have to be exclusive to Amazon to do that. And I was just looking at the statistics, and it's not doing a whole lot for me, and I'm leaving out some opportunities. So I may be changing that. If you want to read on the Kindle Unlimited, go ahead and put those in your bookshelf. Would you want to hear a sample of the audio? All right, so this is where Whiskers meets Zappa. The beach seemed like a better getaway route than past the HOA president's house, so I started to walk toward the sound of gentle waves. Before I got far, I heard a strange meow.
Hey, man. Cutting nip.
The voice came from just off the trail in a patch of sea oats. The cat was lying there, stretched out. If he hadn't spoken to me, I'd be pretty sure he was sleeping. Excuse me? The cat looked up at me slowly, as if the only thing he had was time. When his eyes finally focused on me, I saw him look at my collar.
Whoa, officer. I didn't know you were... Wait. Are you... For real? Can cats be cops, man?
He had clearly noticed the badge on my collar. Detective Whiskers at your service. What was it you wanted again? I had heard him the first time, but decided to have a little fun.
No, man, it don't matter.
Nip, you said. Would that be catnip?
Hey, man, ain't nothing illegal about it. You ain't local anyway. I can tell. Ain't no vacation cop gonna bust me up for a little nip.
I am local as of yesterday, and I will be patrolling this area from now on. So if you're up to anything you shouldn't be, then you'll need to take that elsewhere from now on. That's Phil. Exactly. I love Phil. All right, so Paradise Cove, perfect little beach town, or the murder capital of Florida. Or both. You got the cute shops and all that stuff. The HOA is kind of okay. Who's dealt with an HOA before? It can be great for some things, but that's how Nosy Nancy comes in. Home to the world's best sunsets. You got the Spanish moss, all the tropical blooms. Everybody riding around on their golf carts and such. The main characters, you got Sheila, who is recently widowed and has retired to the beach. Fred was her husband. We don't really meet Fred properly in this book, but if you read the prequel, that's where Fred and Whiskers meet each other. So it's a little bit different from the other books, but I wanted to tell that story. And Julia, Becky, and Terry Ann are the new friends that she makes, and Chief Anderson and Officer Reed, and then Nosy Nancy is the president of the HOA, and all of those characters do continue through the series. And all of these animal characters as well. Kojak, the canine officer, and Zappa, the hippie cat, and Blue, the great blue heron who likes her privacy. So many people who have read several of the books tell me that Blue is their favorite character. And she's got maybe a page of dialogue in the whole series. But, nothing wrong with that, right? Any quiet people here? Speak up. Later on, you're going to get to meet Roddy and Penelope and Mr. Bingley, who is actually inspired by a cat that lives in a bookstore in Mobile, Alabama, and some other animal characters will find their way in as well. So the themes that I'm hoping people will catch from the books, number one, and this is kind of the reason I wrote this, is there's always another chapter to write in your life, and only you can decide what that story is going to be. You were talking to me earlier about different chapters in your life, and you got to make a decision to move on, don't you? Yeah, and I've known several people who kind of get stuck without making that decision, and as if they have to, I don't know, everybody listens to Rush, the rock band, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Decide that you're going to write another chapter, and it's going to be a good one. Life is better with friends, and we never truly lose the people that we love. They may end up being present in the form of a pillow on the shelf, or maybe just memories. That when you meet somebody, they're yours for the rest of your life. I started writing at the age of 11, as Shelley mentioned. I've told campfire stories as a youth camp counselor, and done radio, television, make short videos, a couple hundred audiobooks. And the audiobooks is how I got introduced into the professional world of publishing, getting to meet the authors and discuss with them how they were publishing, and you know what, I can actually do that, I think. And here I am, making millions and millions of pennies. And so some of the questions that people ask me, I'm gonna steal your questions. Why did you write from the cat's point of view? Well, I wanted to tell a woman's story. In cozy mysteries anyway, you almost never have a cozy mystery about male characters. But I don't want to write something if I can't write it authentically. And I can't write authentically from a woman's mindset. I'm just not capable of doing that. So I thought, if I'm the cat, I'll hear and see everything, and I can still explain what I hear and see to the reader from a male perspective, and get everything out there, but without having to pretend that I'm somebody I'm not, and try to tell the story from a mindset that's not mine. So is Paradise Cove a real place? It is based on real places. St. George Island, Florida. Anybody ever been there? It's wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's not built up. I mean, it's not lonely stretch of beach unless you're in the park, but just, right there in the center of the island, you've got the Buccaneer Hotel and one other little hotel and a few shops, and everything else is just individual homes. And it's a great place. If you want a quiet beach, there's nothing that I know of left like St. George Island. But then a lot of the characters are more inspired by some residents of the retirement communities where my dad lives or lived, and where we have a house that my sister-in-law lives in Gulf Shores. It's an over 55 community, and so observing in those communities was kind of where I drew up some of the characters and how they live life in that community. And so that's what I've got. If you want to find me online, authorchrisabernathy.com is my website, and I'm on Facebook. That's the only social media I really do for my books. That's what I've got. Have you got any questions? Yeah.
We're going to see The Naked Gun in church and Tolly and some of her friends.
The Naked Gun?
It's a movie about police attack.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got a few others in the pipeline, so maybe one.
Couldn't hear the question. What was the question? Could you repeat the question?
She was wondering when we're going to do a Naked Gun story with Tolly, her cat, in it. So I did wear the shirt, by the way, on cruise. So she's got a cat that is an Egyptian a Sphinx cat, one of the hairless cats, and a couple of weeks ago she brought me a shirt, a Hawaiian shirt with my picture and Tolly's picture on it, and Tolly has a matching shirt. So yeah, wore that to dinner on the cruise. Our table mates were very interested in that.
Did you grow up with cats?
I did. I haven't had a cat in my house for a long time. But when I was growing up, we had cats around. And that's my choice, but my wife has always had dogs, and we've always had dogs until we just lost Gracie a couple of weeks ago. But
Then you need a cat.
maybe, we'll see.
What brought you to the northern end?
Our sons we were looking for colleges for both of our boys, and Reese is 25 now, so it was a while back when we were looking for his college, but we looked at some of the schools here in Virginia for him. He ended up going to the University of Alabama. But William, we looked at all the schools up here again with him, and he ended up choosing George Mason. And my wife, same time that he was graduating from high school, my wife was retiring from teaching in Alabama and working at universities. And so we were free to make a move. And so we kind of followed him up here. We found this while we were looking at the schools and really liked it.
What's your favorite genre of the books that you record?
That I narrate?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love to do a true thriller. I've done some thrillers, but not one that I consider a true thriller. I've got a series that I've done with a hitman, but he meets a girl in the first one and they get married, and it's the tension of a true thriller is not there, you know. A couple others that were borderline thrillers, but I've never really narrated a true thriller, and I'd like to do that. Maybe I'll get the chance to do it, or maybe I won't. I'm kind of backing down on the audio books. I had accepted several books before we moved up here, and I took the job at the radio station. I was narrating full time, and you kind of book that calendar up ahead of time. I just, on June 30th, finished the last book that I was scheduled to do. Today I turned down a new series. Yesterday I turned down a returning client. I've got another email waiting for me to look at it. I don't currently have anything scheduled, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do on that.
How long does it take to do, like, for example, this one, how long did it take to, from the time you all started to narrate to the time it was edited and ready to go?
Actual calendar time for book one of this series, probably about 6 months.
Wow.
But that's me, you know, working on all my stuff that I'm getting hired to do, and just take a little time here and there, coming back and forth to it. I honestly couldn't tell you how many hours I put in. It was a lot of hours I put into piecing that all together, and, you know, connecting with the people to do it, and all that. But to actually typically recording an audio book, in the recording booth, you're typically going to have 3 to 4 hours of recording time for every hour of actual listen time. And there's time before that where you're reading the book ahead of schedule and making any marks that you want to on the script to get it prepared and ready. And then if you're working with a publisher or hiring out some of the work, you send off the audio to somebody else to edit it and do the mastering, and then send you back a list of corrections that you have to record, and then they put it back in. So the length of time from when I get a script to when it actually is ready and hits the stores is usually about 3 months or so.
I have a question for you.
She's got one real quick.
I was just wondering, when you're writing, how do you schedule your writing? Do you have a particular time of day that you allot and say, I'm going to sit down and do this now? And
I'm trying to figure that out.
are you?
Trying to figure that out. My first book took about 3 years to write. I started it, got about maybe 8,000 words in, and I'm stuck, and I don't have any regimen, no schedule. Went on a cruise, wrote 17,000 words that week, and then came back and finished it. Since then I've gotten a lot faster than that, typically. But the one that's going to come out this fall, I started a year ago, and just haven't had time to write. But with moving up here, a lot going on with the radio station, it ended up being a lot more work than it was supposed to be, for a couple of different reasons. It's all good. I love doing it, but it kind of exploded on me. I haven't had time to do any writing, so it's just been sitting there.
Discipline.
And that's what I'm working on, is now that I've got the audio books at least put to the side for a little while, I'm going to try to develop some discipline of, okay, go do my radio work, get paid, and here's where I'm going to actually allocate some time to do some writing on a scheduled basis.
I wanted to ask you about your radio work.
Okay.
Who's the band that does your songs?
Shelley is going to be doing a seminar on that on Thursday evening at 6:30. Artificial intelligence. I write the lyrics. I'll create what I want and get AI to produce it.
They're good.
Thank you.
I enjoy listening to you.
I wish I could do, get actual musicians to produce those, but that's, the budget on that
Yeah, no, I
would be
bet.
a lot more than a local radio station can afford, I can assure you.
Who came up with the idea to, broadcast from these localities? I think it's just wonderful. You'll be in Warsaw on Friday, but was that a brainchild of yours, or?
Yeah, that was, actually, I did something similar years ago, about 25 years ago, I guess now. I launched a new morning show with a partner a long time ago, and this was a town that had more people, more industries and such, and I wanted to introduce us to as many people in person as possible, and go where the listeners are. Don't just count on them coming to you. Go to them. And so we did the office invasion tour. And so we did the show once a week from different businesses that had maybe 1,000 employees or whatever, and had beat the boss contests and that kind of thing. Trying to copy that here wouldn't work out very well. Not a whole lot of places you could go with that kind of an audience, but I figured let's change it up a little bit, do it with the different towns and get out there. And it's been a lot of work. I'll tell you that, and not just for me. It's been a lot of work for everybody at the radio station. But I certainly enjoyed doing it. I hope it pays off with, I actually saw one of the, yesterday at the airport in Miami, I saw Ricky Smiley. Anybody know who Ricky Smiley is? All right. He's syndicated on urban stations throughout the country. He's on probably over 100 radio stations in big markets. I mean, the guy is massive. He's one of the most successful radio personalities in the world. Just saw him walking through the airport yesterday. He was coming off a cruise too. And somebody else went and talked to him. I left him alone, but once you get that second person, then it starts turning into a mob, so I just left him. And he's got a great career. But he's up here in the clouds. And what I'm trying to do is build community. And that's what the idea is with these tours, is to just go out and get into each of these small communities, and everything that I do on the radio station is intended to bring the community together. Some people think that
support local businesses
Right.
is what it should be all about, instead of, I mean, I'm a come here, which a lot of these people are, instead of going back to Richmond, Williamsburg, Newport News, whatever, to shop, or is to know what your local businesses are and support those, because
Absolutely.
this is where you live.
And the radio station wouldn't exist without them.
Right.
We don't make any money off of the Tractor Supply and all those, even though they're a local business in town. They're not a local business. It's the people who live and work here and start their own businesses and such. So those are the people that make the radio station work. Without them, we wouldn't exist. But the businesses and organizations, the libraries, everything. I see my job. I used to see myself as the entertainer, and I was going to be WKRP in Cincinnati, town to town, up and down the dial, and that's what I wanted to do originally. But I figured out, just like with writing the Blowing Up the Airwaves book about radio, I figured out a lot about who I'm not as a writer, and I'm not an edgy writer, and that's kind of how I ended up writing Cozy Mysteries. It's like, I like to write things where people can be happy throughout the book, So with the radio, I've figured out I'm not the guy that wants to, be the shock jock or any of that stuff. I like building the community. I don't have to be in a big city, and even in the big city, it's hard to do that. But in a town like this, you can actually impact lives. So that's what I'm trying to do. Everything I do is try to build the community.
Well, I think it's working.
Thank you.
What is your favorite genre of literature that doesn't offer any commercial opportunity? Like, what do you read?
See, that's a tough question.
Would you repeat the question?
She's asking, what do I read just for myself? And that's something else that I've got to rediscover, because for the last decade, I've been reading other people's books that I got hired to do, and it's tough to pick up a book to read for pleasure when you've got a stack of books that you're behind schedule on recording. So, that's one of the reasons that I'm taking a break from the narration is I want to enjoy reading books again. The last book that I picked up and just read because I wanted to read it was It All Comes Back to You by Beth Duke, which would not be my typical thing. I like, before I started narrating, the thrillers, Harlan Coben, it's no meat to it, but, just kind of fun.
Do you think you might do a series of, a dog as being the main character rather than a cat? The
Maybe.
canine point of view?
Possibly. It's not on the list right now, but it's not something I've said I won't do either.
I'd just be interested to see how you interpret the way a dog thinks as opposed to a cat.
Yeah. I might be a little condescending, honestly, because I am truly a cat person. Cats are better than dogs, I'm sorry. They are smart. It's like
Cats have servants, dogs have masters.
Right. When Whiskers first meets Kojak, they first encounter each other at the dump. You recall there, and Whiskers walks by with his collar and his badge, just struts on by. All yours, officer. And Kojak does the cock to the side, confused look. That's the one thing that dogs do better than cats. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was wondering, how did you get started in audiobook narration?
Somebody asked me, with radio, of course, I'm around the microphone, and I've always worked for small owners, local owner-operator type stations, mostly by choice at this point anyway. But there are some perils to that, and one of them is sometimes you don't get paid. And at one point I was not getting paid, and I'm like, okay, let's do some other things on the side here, see if this comes back around. So I started doing some voiceover work for commercials and such, and I'd never even thought about audiobooks. Had never listened to one for sure. Somebody asked me if I'd narrate their book. Sure, how hard can that be? Well, harder than I thought. But it worked out, and he now runs the largest Facebook group for independent authors in the world, and had me out to present at big conferences in Vegas about audiobooks and whatnot, and introduced me to a lot of people. I'm the luckiest person you will ever meet. And that's how I got to be able to do the audiobooks and the writing, because he came to me with that simple request that I wasn't worthy of, but he gave me the opportunity, and almost every opportunity I've had since then in the publishing world is because of him.
I'm curious to know, why you don't have a southern accent if you were in Alabama all the time.
Well, my mother was English,
Okay.
and I lived in Scotland for 2 years, and some people would say I do have a southern accent. And it largely depends on where I am, who I'm talking to. But if you go to California, I've got a southern accent. If I'm in Virginia, not so much.
I read or listened to, is it Incredibly Bright Creatures, or I guess it's and loved the voices on it, especially the octopus. And then saw the movie. Of course, it was a good movie, but the voices were not as good as the audio. Has anything you've ever done been made into a movie?
No.
I just could see what you would you know, what.
Well, I
Set
say
your
that,
expectations up here.
and nothing that I've written has been made into a movie. I narrated, at least one book that was a movie. They got me to do an updated version of the audio book. You may remember Hotel,
It was the book was called Hotel?
in the book and the movie and the TV show.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
From over 50 years ago now was
Yeah.
when the book came out. But it was somebody, I can't even remember the author's name right now, but
It
it's,
wasn't Haley. It was-
yeah, Arthur Haley's Hotel. Yeah, so the book was already, the movie was already there when I narrated it.
Gotcha. So you went back, well, not backwards, different path.
Different path, yeah. All right, I think we've hit about past when Shelley wanted me to talk. If anybody's got any other questions or whatever it is, I'll be over here with the books, but again, they're getting them all in the library, so thank you very much.
Thank you, and please help yourself to some refreshments while you're talking to us, please. Thank you so much. Thank you.